Om Shanti, everybody, and greetings of peace. I'm so happy and delighted that you all are here today again to awaken your spiritual powers. And this is the fourth in a series of 8. And some of you have been with us before, and there may be new ones on. But let me tell you a little bit about these spiritual powers. They are very subtle. It's not that you can see them, but we use them. And they're very subtle, but they are also very profound. Just as Wi-Fi, we don't see Wi-Fi, do we? But we know how it's impacted our lives, how it's changed our lives completely. And so these spiritual powers are like that. They are for you to use. And so I'm hoping that you're using them. The first one we had was the power to, do you remember? Withdraw. Have you been practicing it? You can shake your heads. Let me see. Your heads. Not too many heads are showing today, but that's okay. And the second one was the power to let go or pack up. And the third one was the power to adjust. And today we have a very exciting power as well. It's one of my favorite ones because I probably need more practice in this one than others. And that is the power to tolerate. And so if you've missed any of these powers, you can go to the YouTube address, which will be at the end of the session, and you can catch up on them. Or if you just want to review. And I'm also thinking that at the end of all 8 sessions, we'll probably have some kind of a printout for you to copy, take a picture of a short explanation of each of the powers. And so we will now start our lesson on the power to tolerate. So here we are, the power to tolerate. And I don't know, I think this is probably one of the powers that most people need to practice. And you probably have some of all these powers. I'm sure you have some of them, I'm sure, but still practicing them and deepening them will make your relationships smoother. It'll make everything that you do smoother. So let's start with this power to tolerate. All right. The power to tolerate. When we learn to tolerate and we practice this power, it actually becomes the power of love. So I would like for you to approach this power like an art form. Doesn't that sound exciting? Not like a dry drill, but an art form. Sort of like when you would like to play a game like tennis, you like to practice and become better and better. So the art of tolerance does turn into an act of love. And we'll go deep into this and into the levels of that power. So love, when it rises to that place that we can say we're no longer tolerating, we're just loving, then there's a creative energy, a powerful creative energy that you possess. And so you see the pictures here, and this picture of the tree. Now, if there's a huge storm coming, the greater the tree, the more it can withstand the storms that avail it. And the same with us. As we develop this power to tolerate, we're able to successfully sail through all the storms of life. You might say, well, what storms are there? Well, sometimes there are many storms in relationships, right? Or in situations. It could be a situation where you're driving and all of a sudden you have to stop because there's an accident ahead. And if you have the power to tolerate, you sit there relaxed, you sit there peacefully, and you may even use it as a time to meditate rather than being upset and saying, okay, I will tolerate this and wishing it was finished. So let's look at the importance of this power to tolerate. Those of you that I can see your beautiful faces, hi, it's so nice to see you. And look at, you're smiling even. Thank you so much. It makes me feel like I have good company when I see your faces. So if more of you want to turn on your faces or your videos, that would be superb. But you don't have to. So being loved makes you strong. Do you all feel that? I'm looking at your faces now. You could either do this or you could do this. But when we're loved, we are empowered. Love is such a vital force of life. It's a natural force of life. But for some reason, we've kind of put up walls. And so we're afraid that we'll get hurt. But we all agree that being loved makes you strong. What do you think? Is there anything that could make you stronger? I'm just going to wait a brief moment to let you think about that. What could make you stronger? Well, being loving makes you stronger. Isn't that beautiful? And some of you are shaking your heads. Thank you so much for shaking your head. So yes, being loving makes you stronger because first of all, you have the power to love, even under a negative influence that may be happening, something that you have to tolerate, going through something. And so whenever we love or we accept love, whether we give love, both parties experience the benefit of love. It doesn't make any difference whether you're giving it or you're receiving it. But the beautiful part about giving love or being loving is that you're exercising that energy within yourself. You're vitalizing every cell of your body. Yes, your cells of your body are listening. They're listening to your voice, they're listening to your heart, and they're listening to your feelings. And so, and then also we get the repercussions of those that we are loving towards. They have good feelings back for us. So again, being loved makes you strong. Being loving makes you even stronger. And so what you will find is not only love for others, but by practicing this quality, you will find that you will even love yourself more. Because anytime we do anything that's benefit to someone, anything that's grand, our heart just feels so good. And so being truly loving begins with loving yourself. You cannot truly love others until you love yourself. You can pretend you love someone, you can buy them gifts, But the quality of giving love is really dependent on the quality of love that you have for yourself. What you think about yourself, your self-confidence. And so we have to be our own mother. And some of you may have had children, and you know how you take care of your children when they're growing up, and you mother them. But sometimes we forget to mother ourselves, but we need mothering too. We have to talk to ourselves, even when we make a mistake or we do something wrong. It's okay. It's all right. Look at all the good things you've done. And so being your own mother, yes, having your mind talk to you, the soul. And of course, meditation is a way that builds our self-confidence, is a way of understanding that loving part of ourselves. Because of the harsh world out there, sometimes our own love has been kind of packed away. Not totally. I know not totally, because you're all here. So you all must be pretty loving souls. And I know that. But also to emphasize the power of meditation. And you know, we all have so many times that we can meditate. When you're driving to work, use that as a meditation. I, the soul, am driving to work. I, the soul, am in this body. I'm driving the body, but I'm also driving my car, my vehicle, and that is taking me to work. And then just think of pure, peaceful thoughts, maybe connect with the divine and take supreme clarity, supreme energy, and supreme power. So we can use different times in our day when we can meditate. The biggest poverty, I'm going to give you a brief moment now for you to think about what you think the biggest poverty is according to Mother Teresa. And she's had a lot of practice, right? She's worked and served in impoverished communities her whole life. And she says the biggest poverty is not food, although many of the communities she served in, there was a lack of food. She says it's not a lack of money, but it is a lack of love. And many times, like I said before, because we've had hurts in our lives before, maybe in relationships, maybe because of our own expectations, and we've been hurt. And so we've kind of covered up or subdued our capacity to love. And so, seeing beyond all the inconsistencies and failings. Now, what does that mean, to see beyond all the inconsistencies and failings? Well, we see that all of us have failings. Every soul has some weakness, and sometimes many weaknesses. But we have to practice to see beyond those weaknesses and to see beyond the failings. Whoops, we lost something here. Let's go back. There we are. We have to practice. So anytime that you see a weakness in someone, think about a strength that they have. Yes, think about a strength that they have. think about them at their best. We all have times when we feel the best, are the best, and we also have the other times when we're not at our best. But if we begin to focus on what's right in the world instead of what's wrong, we will create more opportunities for right to happen. Whatever we think about, we become. This is important. Whatever we think about, we become. So if we are continually focusing on others' mistakes or their weaknesses, those mistakes and weaknesses become ours. We become that. So we want to practice this focusing on the inherent goodness in all. And do you know what the first lesson is of inherent goodness in all? Is that every soul, no matter how they're acting, if they're having a tantrum, it doesn't matter, temper tantrum, they still are a pure, peaceful, powerful soul. It's just something went awry, and that peace has been temporarily covered. So I fill my vision and feelings with love for everyone. And so this is an exercise to be able to develop equanimity in my visions, equanimity in my feelings for every soul, no matter what. And this is what I think special souls have done in the past. Special souls like Nelson Mandela or Mother Teresa. And there's been many that have just dedicated their lives for selfless service and have this love for all. What are the requirements? Okay, let's look at the requirements. One of them, to develop this power to tolerate, is to have patience, not to react to a situation, because we all have these habits inside. Why is he doing this? Or why did she say that? So we have to develop this patience, which is most needed, especially in this volatile world that we live in. Everybody seems to be on edge. So patience. So patiently accept all, no matter what culture they're from, no matter what language they speak, what color they are, to have this vision that I accept all, and to be unaffected. This is a big one, to be unaffected by others' negativity. And so, especially in families living close together, we might be able to see and hear the negativity of others because we're so close to each other. And so, watching yourself and seeing that you don't pick up the negativity of others or the waste of others, and not to be influenced, not to be affected by others. And how do we do that? We have to develop an understanding nature, or we could say an understanding heart. What does an understanding heart mean? Well, normally we try to think that people should be like we are. Why aren't they thinking like I'm thinking? Why aren't they doing like I'm doing? Well, an understanding heart understands very deeply that we all play different parts, we have different personalities, and there is no right way. Or maybe a better way of saying that is, Everyone's way is the right way. Everyone's way is the right way for them. And we can't change anyone. The only one we can change is ourselves. And that's what the spiritual powers are about. That's what Raja Yoga is about. And that's what we as the Brahma Kumaris are about, changing our world by changing ourselves. And this is what Gandhi ji taught. And the last requirement, yes, there may be trauma coming in your life, and there's been trauma in the past. But when this happens, to turn the trauma into what lesson can I learn from this? How can I become better equipped? And so, as we progress further on now, we see that all human beings are searching outside of themselves for love. They want the perfect relationship, the perfect mate. They want the perfect house, the perfect job, and they're looking for perfection outside. But we know that whatever is created on the outside of your world is because of what you've created on the inside of your world, the head and the heart together. And so we search for our own love and learn to expand that love. To love the self is the greatest need. When your capacity for love reaches such a magnificent level, your love will just spill out naturally because you will be a loving being, and others will love you in return just because you're so lovable. So being able to see past all our self limitations. Many times we're just too harsh on ourselves. Oh, I could have done this better. Maybe I shouldn't have done it that way. But seeing past all those self limitations, again, focusing on your best and becoming your best. And to remember that the main method is to meditate. I am a pure, peaceful, powerful, and loveful soul. And so you see to the right someone meditating, and that someone is you meditating. And meditation doesn't mean you have to take a half hour out in the middle of your day or on your job. You can sit at your desk and just for 15 seconds think. It feels so good just to stop, be quiet, take a dignified pause, and feel my own peace, my own joy. And when that happens, you will feel so beautiful, so blissful, and you will radiate that love, and you will be that loving being. Again, it comes from meditation, and meditation means connecting with yourself, the spiritual being, the soul, and connecting with the Supreme Soul, the one who is completely full of all the powers. And so as we connect with that one, just in our mind, you become this image. Isn't that a beautiful face? It looks like your faces, actually. And so the power to tolerate, actually, if we approach it as an art form. It becomes an exciting adventure. And the more love a person has, the more tolerant that person is. And we can flip that around and say, the more tolerant a person is, the more love he has. So one inspires the other. Tolerance inspires love, and love inspires tolerance. And so we want to think about taking a love dose. We all take vitamins or some kind of medications, but have you ever thought about taking a dose of love? Yes, why not? That's the best dose, isn't it? And it's the best dose to give. Someone said once, the best medicine is love. And someone looked at him and said, what if it doesn't work? What do you think the answer is? Do you have the answer in your minds? Yes, some of you got it right, I'm sure. Just increase the dose. And so the other one might not change right away. Maybe they'll change later. Maybe they won't. But at least you've given yourself the dose of love again and again. And love is so delicious. So we're going to look at our practice now, the practice for the power to tolerate. And so I would like you to, you can take a picture of this after all the items come up, but I'd like you to reflect and realize on these truths. And being loving makes you strong, but being loved makes you strong, but being loving makes you stronger. And to remind yourself, focus on inherent goodness in all. The biggest poverty is a lack of love. So we want to give the donation of love. And the greatness of a person is revealed through their capacity to tolerate. Tolerant people are able to resolve difficult circumstances by always finding a quiet solution. Because when we quiet our mind and we're tolerant, we're very peaceful. And because we're at peace and the mind is not in a turmoil, well, then we can think clearly and come up with right decisions. And so right now, I would like us to stop, and we're going to have a little bit of a practice. So firstly, what I'd like you to do is think about yourself, your true self. And I am speaking to you, the souls. I'm not talking to your bodies. I'm talking to you, the spirit, the soul within the body. You're listening through the ears, seeing through the eyes, but it all goes back to you, the soul, becoming more tolerant, more peaceful, and more loving. So think about these truths. Take a picture of this And we are going to move on to another phase here. Okay, so all right. And we're going to start for our second part of the presentation. And here we are. If I say I have to tolerate, there is no power in that. No power at all. And we call that repressed tolerance, not a true tolerance, not a tolerance of perfection. So we're going to be seeing that there are different levels of tolerance, and all of them are good. But of course, as we refine this art of tolerance, the art of tolerating, we become more refined, and it does become an art of love. And so tolerance, I call it a bittersweet power. Sometimes in the beginning, it's very bitter. Okay, I'm going to tolerate. All right, I'm going to tolerate the person I work with, even though they're this way all the time and they do these things that irritate me. And actually, when we have these thoughts, we're the ones that are becoming irritated. And so it turns into a sweet tolerance. And then it tastes like sugar. It's very delicious. And I'm going to show you what repressed tolerance looks like. Look at this picture. And what do you think is behind this picture? I'll just give you a moment to contemplate on that. So this is called repressed tolerance. And this is what it looks like. We are one thing on the outside, like we are pretending we're being tolerant or putting on a face of being tolerant. But inside, there's still agitation or anger or being upset. And this is called repressed tolerance. It's okay if you're at that level, but to know that we want to even move higher. We want to become hero actors. Everyone wants to be a hero. Don't you all want to be heroes? I see some head shaking again. That's wonderful. I like being in the company of heroes, actually. And so tolerant people are often thought of as being weak, but this isn't the case. Greatness of a person is revealed through their capacity to tolerate. Again, Mother Teresa and many others that had this beautiful power to tolerate. And we see that when a person is great, they can tolerate more. Just as a great tree in a storm, the little trees will tumble over, but a great tree will withstand all the storms. And in this picture, up on the top there, the tree gives shade even to the woodcutter who's going to cut down the tree. Think about yourself and being a tower house of tolerance. Again, the greatness of a person is revealed through their capacity to tolerate. So, tolerant people are able to resolve difficult circumstances by always finding that quiet solution. They break the chains. You can see the chains of bondages, of old habits, of reacting. They sit patiently, peacefully, and are able to find solutions. And so they go silently inside, tolerant. To be tolerant, we practice going silent inside. There's no need to prove myself to anyone. There's no need for me to say, you've got to do it this way. You've got to believe this way. No. And the last one is to be impervious to insult. There may be insults, someone thinking you should do it their way. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Like a strong tree with self-confidence, you stand in your own power. So inner strength comes from understanding. As I stand still, I begin to understand that sometimes I may not actually be tolerating. And so we have to look at ourselves, shift my perception into having a big and generous heart and absorb what is coming towards me. Absorb what is coming towards me. To be able to change tracks and keeping my heart open. And so an attitude change is needed many times. An attitude of wanting to convince others the way we think, the way we feel, but be able to understand where they're coming from. And we do that by understanding that all of us are different. We have different thoughts, different opinions, and it's okay. It's just perfectly fine. And tolerance is nourishment for yourself. Sometimes we think it's for others, but it's actually for yourself. So having a practice of looking through a different lens. And we see that flowers continue to blossom even though there are weeds beside them. People around us may be so different, but my strength is not how I respond, but how I adapt, how I adjust to what is around me. And even weeds are beautiful. You know, the flower bougainvillea is actually a weed. So we're going to look at our manifestations now, our practice. And of course, you can take a picture of this. And I'm just going to put it all up in case you want to take a picture. There we go. To be patient and confident, to accept differences, to be flexible, prepared, and allow others just to be themselves. But what I really want you to look at during the next week is when there is a lack of these. Catch yourself when you see a lack and you have anger, or you're short-tempered, or you're influenced by others, anxious, restless, you have expectations or waste thoughts. And so now we are going to have another meditation. And let me tell you that if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box, and you could either just put it in the chat box or you can send it to SOI Mayatri, who will also be taking questions. And so now we're going to have this last meditation. So let's again sit in a space of being soul conscious, who you are, the soul, the master of the body, the master of everything in your life. And connecting with your higher power, your spiritual father, the supreme soul, God, the one of all perfection. We connect with that one because we want to become perfect as well. And so, sitting in my own space, I, the soul, sitting in this body, connecting with perfection and developing my power to tolerate. Remember repressed tolerance and what it looks like. Is that ever you? And do we want to change that and develop this art of tolerating into a love? And here's a beautiful picture of pure tolerance that is turned into love. When you don't even know you're tolerating, you are just a loving being. This is your goal, the art of love. To love no matter what the situations, conditions are. To open my heart through understanding, to open my heart. Connecting with the magnanimous heart, the supreme heart, and filling myself with purity, filling myself with clarity of thought, sitting quietly, invite the purest energy around you, in you, coming to you, focusing on love, tolerance, and peace, and absorbing the highest and the best. Breathe in, peace, exhale, peace. Tolerance in, tolerance out. And what I would like you to do now is think about a person or a situation that's pulling your attention to be tolerant. Bring that soul up in front of you, imagining them or the situation. And let's all send love, unlimited, unrehearsed love to that situation. And at first, it may not seem so natural to do, but you are the hero actor. And because you're the hero actor, you send love to even those who have defamed you, who have hurt you. Maybe you've lost trust in. Doesn't matter. Even if you've lost trust, you can still love them. Because remember how nourishing the quality of loving is for yourself. And this is called the highest form of tolerance. Being loving to everything and all. Spilling out that love. And being your true self. And so we practice being loving this way. It's a practice. We've learned to be unloving because we want to protect ourselves, or we think someone may not be worthy of our love. But actually, what we do is cut out love from our own heart. And so, remembering yourself, you are a hero. A hero becomes a hero by acting in an extraordinary way, not an ordinary, mundane way. There's enough love in each of us to fill the universe. And the universe needs our love. Our world needs our love. Our relationships, and even ourselves. The power to tolerate truly becomes the art of love. Om Shanti. So here we are, and I hope you are going to practice all of these things for the coming week. And I have a chat here. It says, can you share any stories where you used tolerance and provided more love despite the other person thinking that it is being weak? Okay, well, I don't know if the other person would think it would be weak, but I will give an experience, and this is a true experience of myself and my physical father. And I feel that at some time he was abusive to the children, not physically, but mentally. He just didn't have a good self-image of himself. And he did some maybe wrong things. And so I resented that deeply. And then I realized that that wasn't the path I wanted to journey. So I sat down in meditation and I started to just send love to that soul. And when I first started, I can remember this very vividly. It was difficult for me because he had done me wrong. But I just said, okay, I'm going to send love. Here's love. Okay, love. And every day I did this. And I noticed that after a while, okay, love, I was softening myself. And then I just kept sending love, love, love. I was just sending love. And actually, I have no ill feelings. And that puts me in such a divine place to be, a wonderful place to be. And I love myself. And everyone should just love themselves. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Yes, you can send, and I did say that Mayatri, you can send your chats to Mayatri. She's SOI Mayatri, and you can send the chats to her as well. And someone's saying it's a blissful experience, great loving experience. Thank you, wonderful Sister Dorothy. You are the wonders. All of you are the wonders because you are becoming so blissful yourself. How do I know that? Because you're still here and you want to learn. And learning is such a beautiful art itself. So I don't know if there are any more chats. I'm still looking.
Shanti, Sister Dorothy.
Yes.
So we do have a question here.
Okay.
And the question is that what if you can or you feel that you have qualities that belong both to manifestations and the lack of categories at the same time?
That's a wonderful question, Mayatri Ben. Yes. Well, this is our dilemma, but we're moving to the perfection side. Okay. And it's good to look at the lack because when you see the lack, then you know you have to exercise the manifestation part. It's not that it's a clear one or the other, but it's both. May a tree come back on? There you are. So, yes, but I find that when I'm in a relationship and it could be a challenging relationship, and I start to feel like, oh, then I see that lack and I change it, I transform it. It's just like practicing a game or tennis. You just start practicing the mindset, but not only the mindset, you have to bring it into the feelings part, that feelings part that's deep inside, not a repressed tolerance, but many of us do have a repressed tolerance, and we know that. So just to be able to keep getting better and better, because this is what the spiritual powers do. We practice them. How long do we have to practice them? What do you think? Mayatri, what do you think?
I think it comes with practice and attention. So keep practicing daily.
Yes, but we have to keep practicing till when?
Until you become.
Until you are it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Until the end, you just keep practicing and practicing.
I agree.
And someone just sent on the chat, please invite her to add her spotlight. Okay. And so now you're on again.
Yes. All right. So we have one more question, Sister Dorothy. So it's a story, I think. So they say that a friend was in a Verizon store and all the employees were very busy. Then a man came in with quite the attitude and felt they needed to help him. So he became very ugly rating. And my friend just sent love. He finally saw that she was looking at him and says, "What are you doing?" And she says, "Sending love." And he and he goes and kind of storms out. So very interesting how that transformation took place with love.
Yeah, that is beautiful. At least it got rid of. And that's another interesting point because with the eight powers, we're going to learn as we go through them that sometimes you might be trying one power, the power to tolerate, but maybe you need to have the power to face. and maybe sometimes the power to withdraw. And so all of these powers are like tools, spiritual tools in our toolbox. Sometimes we have to withdraw. We're at work and we're somebody is smoking at work and it's bothering us. You have to have the power to face at that time. So, or adjust. So it just depends. But to be able to use the powers, and they are beautiful gifts when you begin to play with the powers as an art form.
Yes, I love the way you started off. We're kind of creating that masterpiece with the art of love. So it's beautiful. And one more thing that I was thinking is that it's kind of like that we are the treasure ourselves, and then that love is the guard that protects us. So when we are trying to protect something, we kind of go around that treasure, making sure that it's unaffected, it's sacred, it's over that place.
Right.
So how do you kind of practice that daily, that you're protecting yourself with love? How do you guard yourself?
Well, we just sit in meditation. And again, meditation is the way I think throughout the whole day. It's not just sitting there on a mountain like stoic, but even every thought is a meditation. Even the word meditation means to think about, reflect. So to begin to retrain the way we think about things, the way we reflect. The glass is always either half empty or half full.
Yes.
And so which path do you want to take? And of course, everyone here has decided that you're all such elevated beings. I wish I could see you all, but some of you just like being incognito. But there's more today. Look at what, and others are turning their cameras on. How wonderful. I give you all blessings and blessings and oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed with love. And doesn't it look nice? Look, everybody look at the screens. Isn't it beautiful? Don't you feel like this is such a loving family now? The video just is wonderful to turn on because there are real beings out there, real souls. Yes. And so I thank you for being, what power would you say you all just had? It was a power we had last week. It was probably the power to adjust, right? You just adjusted or accommodated. And so I thank you all. And so, Mayatri, do you want to close?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sister Dorothy. I feel like the love was flowing through you today. We all became that master oceans of love. So it was a very loving session, and we all created that masterpiece with the art of tolerance and art of love. So beautiful. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to listen to you and to see everyone open their cameras.
And it was a pleasure to see you finally coming out of the woodwork.
Thank you.
Mayatri does a lot of the PowerPoints that are used in many places over the internet, and especially this program. So thank you. So we will say goodbye for today and lots of love.
Om Shanti.